and welcome to this channel. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Bryce.
And we are realtors with My Home Group Real Estate here in Metro Phoenix, Arizona. And today we're talking about what you need to be doing to prepare for a home purchase in 2022.
Yeah, it's right around the corner.
So we're going to talk about ways that you can prepare yourself to make 2022 your year.
So we've got 2 months left in the year.
If that.
Yep. So what are your first steps?
Well, I think the first thing to do is the timeline and research. Okay, so when we're talking to buyers, we want to talk to you as early on in the process as possible. And a lot of times we'll get people who think, hey, we're really not looking to buy like tomorrow or anytime. We're thinking like 3 months down the line. And we're like,
that's time to go.
That's time to go. That's you've almost waited too late if you're thinking that you need to be in a home within 90 days. Not too late because we can make it happen.
I mean, you're not too late in the game by any means. But yes, it's like we want the time to prepare you, make sure that you don't have any issues, make sure you know what you're, I guess, getting into.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that in an ideal world, not the rule, but in an ideal world, you're starting the process 6 to 12 months ahead of when you think you want the keys to your new home. Now, this time is very fluid because we have plenty of clients who come to us and say, we're not ready to move for 12 months. And 4 months later, they're packing up their bags and getting into a new home. But that just goes to show why it's important to start a little sooner, because you never know what life has to throw at you. And you never know what the market or your financing is going to demand, because that can change your plans. So the way that we start with clients is we typically begin with a quick consultation, which, by the way, you can book using the link below in the caption. There is a way that you can just schedule a time on our calendars to hop on a really quick, like, non-salesy, non-threatening
call. It's like
call.
a quick 30-minute get to know us, get to know you.
Yeah.
You know, what's the plan? Easy call.
Yeah. And that way we can at least help you understand what to expect beyond just the high level stuff that we do here on the channel. And we can listen to your unique situation and help you decide what the next best step is. And from there, the next best step is, I think, to get your pre-qualification in order.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whether it's getting the actual pre-qualification or at least talking to a lender,
right.
That I think is, after you identify an agent that you want to work with, or at least the steps within purchasing, you really need to see where your financing is and see if you have anything that's hidden that you didn't know about, or get the guidance from a lender that's going to help you know what your purchase power is. What can you afford. You're going to give them your income, tax stuff. You don't necessarily have to pull credit right away. A lot of buyers are fearful, like, I don't want my credit to get hurt, right? Well, you don't have to do that right away. You can, if you're working with a good lender, which we have great partners. If you're working with a good lender, you can just go over a lot of that financing stuff with them. Give them, they'll take all these docs still, and they can give you an idea where you're going to be.
Yeah.
Most people feel like everybody's credit card, if you have a credit card, everybody's credit card is monitoring their credit scores, so you can get an idea. It's not going to be exactly what your lender pulls, but it'll get you an idea where you're at. You can give that information to them, and that's one of the biggest steps to be prepared. Now, if you are searching and you're like at that point, you're going to start looking with your agent. Yeah, you need to get that pre-qualification form. We're not really showing homes without buyers having a pre-qualification form. Well,
and for quite a while during the pandemic, sellers were requiring that in hand. And even to take it a step further, in the state of Arizona, the way that our offer contract works is it states in the offer that you have to have that in hand. Yeah. So there's certain documentation that comes from the lender that you're working with that states whether or not you are in fact qualified to afford that home.
Yeah, so it's just important to, it's one of the biggest steps. Make sure you've spoken to the lender, and we can guide our clients that way. If you know someone, we're happy to work with them too. But having that lender conversation and identifying where you are, as far as qualifying, what you can qualify for, that's just super important.
I think it's important to note too, as we're going into 2022, there's a lot of talk about how we are going to be seeing interest rates gradually increase, which we have already seen. We've already seen this starting to happen. And a lot of buyers want to look at the sales price. They want to look at the final sales price of a home to try to figure out what they can actually afford. But there's a lot of factors that go into your affordability. There's obvious things like the taxes, which can vary across the valley.
Yeah, different neighborhoods. Different
HOAs. Sometimes some neighborhoods have multiple HOAs. And then, of course, the work that might need to go into a home to get it to where you want to be. But one thing that buyers may have trouble grasping sometimes is the interest rates, which has a very direct relation to your monthly payment, which is really how a lot of buyers decide their affordability.
Yeah, I mean, we just did a buyer consult with some young first-time home buyers a month and a half ago. They were actually not looking to buy until next year. Their lease is up in maybe 6 months from now, 8 months from now, or something of that sort, and they are now wanting to buy because they've seen interest rates go up. They know that the market values are going up, and they're in finance too, so they see things like that 16% rise that's projected by Goldman Sachs in 2022. So they're seeing things like that, and they're like, well, if my budget's for $400,000, 16%, that's another, what is it, 64 grand, I think, right there. So it's like, they're like, and then interest rates rising. So that same home projected possibility, whatever, even if the numbers aren't exact there, they're seeing what they're able to afford kind of disappear. So for them, breaking a lease is a lot easier. Cost-wise, it's low. I mean, there's money involved, sure, but I mean, considering what you might be paying next year with a rise in interest rates and a rise in property values, for them, they've decided to jump out and do it right now.
Yeah, I love that example because I think that makes a lot of sense. It's not the industry saying go buy. It's what is your financial capacity right now, and what is it going to be if you wait a year from now with these other factors considered.
Yeah, I'm not saying, yeah, exactly. I'm not saying like you have to do this and jump on the market now.
Yeah, and I didn't say you were.
Because the whole part of this video is like preparing for 2022. Right. So if you are, you do need to take these things into consideration though, because interest rates today might be 3.25. I'm not sure, give or take. Where are they going to be in March?
Yeah.
Is it 3.5%? That's only a quarter point higher, but that matters.
It does matter because for every $1,000 that your purchase price goes up, that might impact your monthly payment a couple bucks, $5, $6, $7. But in terms of your interest rate, every quarter of a point that it goes up, it's something like $38,000 in terms of your purchasing power that will change. Meaning the $440,000 home that you could have afforded now is only a $400,000 home later on as those interest rates rise. And I know that sounds kind of like complicated arithmetic just to say out loud, but this is why it's so important to meet with a lender so that you can run these scenarios and get an actual granular look on what that means so that you can make a data-driven decision and not just be speculating based off of headlines or like what your family and friends are telling you. So I think once you have that understanding, it's really easy to put the plan in place, right? So like you mentioned, if you are renting, maybe this is a time to go reach out to your landlord and understand what that break lease situation might look like, and if that's even an option for you. We have plenty of clients who have considered it and are considering it just as a last resort in case the right opportunity does come up for them.
Yeah, and you've got to consider that you're going to be looking for a home for some period of time at least, or you may, you're not necessarily going to find the house first time you go out. So you need to put that time into play. If you want to be somewhere in March, right, you might start looking late December, early January. Now, you're not going to have a 90-day escrow, but, if you don't find something right away, you don't want to be
under the gun
trying to find something last minute and then settling on a home or re-signing your lease for another year and waiting to see where the market is then.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I like to see people out there, 60 to... I feel like you're better off getting into the home a little bit early, even if you have the lease, because, and I don't want to get into this here, but like your first mortgage payment once you close is a little bit deferred in a sense.
Yeah, it kind of skips a month.
Kind of,
because
yeah.
Of the prepaids.
And you talk to your lender about that explanation. But so like if you were to close in February, even though you wanted to be somewhere in March, your first payment might not be until April 1st anyways. So we do earlier is better than later, in my opinion, in this sense.
Yeah, I agree. And then in that time that you're waiting, it's so important. So like the first thing that we're doing with clients after we get to this point is we're setting them up on our direct MLS so that our portal search, so that they can keep a pulse on the market, see how quickly homes are selling and what they're selling for, and also to keep an eye on coming soon listings that are not broadcast to the public. And this is totally different from what a lot of buyers might see on like Zillow, because Zillow is not the most accurate place to look for one. A lot of times you see an active home that's actually been pending or under contract for weeks, and it just does not reflect that way on Zillow. But a lot of times too, everybody else who's searching with a realtor already sees the coming soon listings that are exclusive to the realtor community that are not being broadcast out to Zillow. So like you might be checking on Zillow and see a brand new home, but everyone else who's looking within this parameters has already seen it for 2 weeks on the market and they're ready to go. They've already done their research on that opportunity. So that's just another reason why we love working with buyers, to get them really acclimated to these processes, understand the tools that are available to them, and really feel confident in their decision moving forward when the time is right for them. So if you're thinking that 2022 might be your year to achieve homeownership, or if you're thinking that a big life change is on the horizon for you, we would love to talk. So like I mentioned earlier, you can check out all the details below on ways to get in touch with us. You can either send us an email or even book a call to speak with us directly, and we'll get a sense of where you're at right now and where you want to be, and we'll see how we can help. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have not yet, please be sure to hit subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification icon to be notified every time we're dropping new videos just like this.
Bye.
Bye.